Welcome back. It is 13 minutes after 8. It is Friday morning, and that means it's time for the Media Insider with New Zealand Herald Editor-at-Large Shayne Currie. Shayne, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Good to see you.
You too.
Now, I'm excited because we're starting with an ad today, and it's an ad I haven't seen, but is this, how complained about is it now?
Well, the ASA, the Advertising Standards Authority, has received 50 complaints so far. You and I spoke earlier this year about the Lotto beer bum scare.
That's right.
That received about 48 complaints. This one's got 50, so they're vying with each other to be the most complained about ad of the year.
This is more potentially more complained about than the bum cheeks from Lotto.
Potentially, yeah. And of course, the ASA threw that one out, whereas they're still looking into this one.
All right, well, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, probably everyone in the world except me has, but here's the KFC ad.
Hello New Zealand, I am the Colonel Hacker. For 7 weeks, I'm hacking the KFC menu. My first act, double stack your zinger for the price of one. Grab the big hack now. You haven't seen the last of me.
What?
Yeah, that is part of the campaign.
I'm like, if the butt got complaints, then surely we're going to see boobs. I don't know what.
Yeah.
It?
No, so what critics are saying is that cybercrime and hacking is a very serious event in New Zealand. It's causing a lot of issues for businesses and individuals. That is a 15-second example of one of the ads. It's part of a bigger, wider campaign. And so that's where a lot of the complaints are directed at, around social responsibility and why.
But so they're saying that that's some kind of endorsement of hacking?
Yeah, well, one of the complaints is that it trivialises hacking, cybercrime.
Oh, for God's
yeah.
I
mean, a lot of the feedback we're getting this morning is that, and I spoke to someone in the banking sector yesterday, they were pretty comfortable about it, but then others that I'd spoken to were more deeply concerned about it and saying that it's kind of, how far do you go with some of our advertising in terms of some of these social issues that are impacting the country?
That seems absolutely bonkers to me. That looks harmless. It looks like an ad, Anyway, hey, TVNZ. So we know that Simon Dello, as you called it earlier, is leaving the 6 p.m. news bulletin, and we now have replacements for weekdays and weekends as well.
We do. Kind of a slightly messy announcement yesterday from TVNZ. Great news in that Jack Tame will take over Friday and Saturday evenings, the 6 o'clock news reading responsibilities there, because of course Melissa Stokes has stepped up to become the weekday newsreader. We had been tipped off yesterday morning that Jack Tame was the next in line, and TVNZ issued that statement yesterday afternoon, which is great news. But today I look into just who else was in the running for both roles. Of course, Daniel Faitara was one of the leading contenders, and very well respected, both broadcaster and journalist, who's spent time in Europe as the European correspondent, and of course on the couch for breakfast for TVNZ and 7 Sharp. So, they did have some options. Ultimately, they went with Melissa, and Melissa's spoken briefly this morning in the column about just what she brings to the role.
She's great, Melissa.
Yeah, she, again, very well respected, very hard working, and I think one of the big attractions, I guess, for TVNZ, and Melissa's spoken about this morning, is that she'll be actually, I think you'll see a lot more of her in the newsroom, potentially reporting stories, as opposed to what we might have seen in the past. But Simon Dello, 3 weeks to go. He finishes on November 28th, 3 weeks today.
Fantastic. Your column this morning talks about a very interesting development with Stuff. Well, not so much Stuff, but the building that they're housed in. Yeah,
Stuff for 35 years has printed a lot of its North Island newspapers in a building in Petone, in Bowker Street, and that building was still owned by Australians Nine Entertainment. You remember Sinead Boucher bought Stuff for $1 in 2020 off Nine. Nine held on to the property, but it's been on the market for the last few months, and the buyer has now been revealed, and it is one Troy Bowker, who was the agitator shareholder, high-profile businessman formerly of shareholding in NZME. And Troy has some very strong views on the state of media, you might say.
Certainly does.
In New Zealand. So Stuff has just over 2 years, or just under 2 years, left to run on the lease. He's saying they'll have two options. They'll either pay a commercial lease to him, or they'll need to be responsible for moving out the printing press, and he can use that building for other commercial reasons. So little bit having them over a barrel, I guess, but there'll be some interesting discussions, negotiations coming up in the next 18 months.
Also some buyers now emerging for their newspaper business, right?
Yeah, well, rumoured to be potentially too, and we've talked about NZME in the past, being a natural buyer for the stuff mastheads in the South Island and in the lower North Island. That would complement, I guess, the Herald's footprint and possibly get around Commerce Commission issues. Because of course Stuff Digital, the website, is now held by a different company and that would be separate. But the other potential buyer who has emerged, and it could be a management buyout, is Joanna Norris, who is currently the managing director of Stuff Masthead Publishing. So could be a combination of those two potential buyers or others. We'll see that will emerge in the coming weeks and months, but certainly it sounds like Stuff Masthead Publishing is back on the block.
Okay, interesting. Finally, before we go, some good news, Shayne, about the Briscos lady.
She's back. Well, she never went away, of course.
She's staying.
Back. She's staying. Briscos has appointed a new agency to distribute the ads, but the creative agency, Stanley Street, is staying. And so we'll see Tammy Wales, who is the Briscos lady, on our screens for a longer period.
Fantastic. What would New Zealand be without the Briscos lady? Thank you very much, Shayne. Good to see you. As always, Shayne Currie from the Media Inside column at The Herald. You can check out his latest edition today. Next, our panel, Phil Goff and Carmen Viselich.